everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Athlete to Executive podcast with the sports business, technology, education, and legal professionals. Our conversations will not only discuss the technical aspects relating to the business of sport, but will focus on the people in sport. Through these talks, we aspire to provide valuable information for those interested in the business of sport, hoping we create a positive impact and make a difference, at least in one person's life, no matter who you are. I'm your host, Swati Bojaraj. Today, we are excited to have two guests on our podcast, Mr. Vijay Krishnamurthy and Mr. Saumil Majmudar, co-authors of the book Get Kids to Play. Vijay is a sports research scholar and an executive coach with 25 years of global experience comprising technology design, sports entrepreneurship, and management research. Vijay worked in technical and management roles for multinational corporations such as Broadcom, Synopsys, and Philips across geographies like US, UK, and Asia. He has published research articles in leading journals, including Ivy and Harvard Business Review, in addition to being a guest writer for The Hindu, Sportskeeda, and The Bridge. He also holds a USPTA tennis coach certification and has trained junior athletes for national tennis competitions. Vijay has a Bachelor's of Engineering degree from Bangalore University, a Master's degree from New Jersey Institute of Technology, and is a visiting faculty at SDM Research Center for Management Studies at the University of Mysore, India. Thank you for joining us, Vijay.
Thank you. Thank you, Swati.
Thank you. Saumil Majmudar is a co-founder, CEO, and managing director of Sports Village, India's leading sports education organization that aims to get 100 million children to play through partnership with schools for its path-breaking Edu Sports in-school sports program and PE program. Over the last 20 years, Saumil has tried multiple models of getting kids to play in a sustainable and scalable manner before arriving at the school partnership model. Currently, 600 schools, both private and public, across India have partnered with Edu Sports program to integrate sports into education for nearly 200,000 children. Saumil holds a mountaineering degree from the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering in Uttarkashi, India, and is a certified black belt in karate. Saumil graduated with a Bachelor's of Technology degree from IIT Bombay and an MBA from IIM Bangalore. Saumil, welcome to the Athlete to Executive podcast.
Thank you, Swati. Glad to be here.
We sincerely appreciate both of you taking the time to share your learnings and journey with the sports business community for India, Saumil and Vijay. Even before starting this discussion, I'd like to express gratitude for putting together this amazing toolkit for all stakeholders involved in the development of child's personality, character, tenacity, perseverance, and passion for anything in life, and not just sports. As I was telling you folks earlier, I thoroughly enjoyed reading the book, especially because I relived my younger days as a kid who was very lazy to an athlete who aspired to make it to the Olympic contingent of India, which did not happen, which is a totally different story. But I relived most of my adolescent, teenage, and early adulthood as I read through this. Thank you very, very much for putting this together.
Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you. So first things first, either of you can go first and answer this. Why sport?
Yeah, I'll probably take a shot. I mean, why sport? I mean, like you mentioned, Swati, I mean, it's a long sporting background as well. That I've played multiple sports. And back in the time, I don't think, it's the studies or sport, and not like today's kids having so many other options. So sport is always on. Again, going through different levels of competitions and this and that, but then coming from a middle class family and back to acads and taking that track. So obviously there's a spillover of sport, I would say, that had to come out. And somehow, at least in my case, I don't know how it happened, but I merged sport and research, and the book is like a product of I guess, like you said, from my childhood all the way to the latest research, somehow it's come together. And of course, thanks to Saumil, who's been doing it for a much longer time on ground. But then I think the combination, I think, just came together.
So my answer, I think similar. I think at one level, just the love for sports growing up, and so on. And I was selected for the Maharashtra badminton team. Like good middle class kid, went down the academic side, but kept playing throughout my life. IIT Bombay, inter-IIT football teams, I am Bangalore badminton football, and I kept growing in stature as player to captain because everybody else kept dropping in their fitness and skill, and I was probably at the same level. And that continued. I still play and so on. But I think the business part, well, one is the hobby, other is the profession. I think the question is about the profession. Uh, Came serendipitously. I was thinking about a venture in tech, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, my son doesn't play," and I asked him, what should we do about it?" He said, "Why don't we just take a safe place to rent these empty plots in Bangalore and clean them up and charge some money from parents." And I thought, hey, maybe that's a good idea to build a business. As an entrepreneur, I was looking for an idea and combine my passion. And it's now 20 years.
Amazing, amazing, Saumil. So, Saumil, in one of the conversations that I was having with Vijay, he was actually, speaking about your memory, that you have a very detailed memory. In fact, told me that you both met almost more than a decade and a half ago, and yeah. And you still remember the cafe and the time that you met in Koramangala. So, so he was actually mentioning that. So tell me, Saumil, in the 20 years of your journey through Sports Village, uh, uh, what has been the most challenging journey, especially getting, like, as Vijay was telling earlier, now there is debate between academics and sports. There is always this debate. And there's also something that both of you dwell in detail in your book, and also justify how sports enables an athlete or a student to perform better at academics and do holistically well in all aspects of their life, right? So how difficult was it selling or this argument to schools or even to children and parents in your experience over the 20 years?
So on the challenge side, our journey with school started 6 years after our journey in sports started.
Mm-hmm.
The first 6 years, I was trying to find business models that what you would call B2C today. We had a ground, we had apartment complexes, we hired a hall, we built an app, we sold tickets for the World Cup, we did all kinds of stuff. And that the difficult part then was just figuring out the right model that I thought would be sustainable and scalable. The first 6 years was really the difficult. Was just how do you keep your motivation going, your sharpness going while searching for a model, and while the world around you is growing and you're kind of trying to figure this out. You also have self doubts about should you be doing this in the first place? Maybe there's no business here. Then in 2008-9, we started knocking on school doors. The first 100 schools we knocked on, 90 threw us out. They didn't even let us meet them. I waited outside principal's cabins for hours and never got a meeting. And principal's cabins is a place outside is not a fun place to wait. I remember in one hot afternoon, and received my sales colleague then Bala. After waiting for 2 hours and not getting the meeting, he said, "Saumil, take out your card." So I took out my card. So Saumil, write your degrees on it. So I wrote. I said, "What are you doing? You don't." No, write. So I wrote BTech IIT Bombay. And he says he gave it to the reception and said, "Give it to the madam." In 2 minutes, we got called inside. So, sometimes you have to do whatever you can and use whatever you have to even get the first meeting. And earlier we would be told, "Oh, leave your props behind." They thought we're selling a bat or a ball, or, talk to the PE and so on. So it took some time. But once we got the meetings, the first, out of the 190 throws out, 10 were like, "Let me see who you are about." 2 or 3 said, "Where have you been all this while?"
Wow.
To navigate through the 97 to get to those 3 early adopters who are waiting for somebody like us, saying, "I wanted a curriculum, I wanted a program for school, PE and sports. I know my PE guy is not doing a great job, but I am a math teacher, who's now become principal, or English teacher who's become principal. I don't even know what to ask the guy. He's played for a country and I am a math teacher. What can I even ask him about sport, right?" But with the curriculum and assessment and all that, suddenly I know what to ask. So just finding the early adopters was a big challenge, and staying committed to it.
I'd like to add great points, Saumil, and to your question, Swati. I think what academics has done is also the same thing, right? Which is structured each subject, modules, learning, assessments, and all that. And I feel it's the same thing that is required in sport, which was not there when we were kids, if you know what I mean. It was like self-selection, right? Only this talented kid. I've gone for KSCA selections under 14, under 16. And unfortunately, Dravid and Kumble and all were there in the senior camp, right?
Yes.
And later on, when I got, then I stayed off. I mean, middle class kid, my dad didn't know anyone, you're not getting selected. So if you play at least an individual sport, for example, so steered towards table tennis, badminton, tennis, eventually landed in tennis, right? When I went to US as in the university team again, right, in Rutgers. And again, they had like a structured national tennis rating program saying you're at this level, you got to get into the. And then I said, this is sounding like actually academics, right?
Yeah.
But then we were only using it in academics in India. I think the world is using it for sport anyway in a structured way. So to a point of Saumil's, I remember a very similar incident is when I'm trying to teach children tennis, again, they looked at it as, oh, this guy is an engineer. He's done his master's. He's like running some structured curriculum. They said, okay, then this is how we do it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the first phase we went through school and college, it wasn't there. And I think, what do you say? I mean, a give back to sport came through the structure.
Okay.
And I'm actually happy that whether it's the book or the curriculum or anything, that people have adopted structure. I think that is the key, right?
Yes.
So I think we wrote in the book, to your point, quick one, is we say unwanted debate between academics and sports, right?
But on this point, there's adopting structure. I know that when we in 2009-10 landed up in principals' rooms with the curriculum, principals have called all the teachers and said, look, curriculum for PE and sports now. Who would have imagined that?
Yeah. Wow.
Right? It was a novelty factor. Then we showed them our assessment report card. Oh my God, look, there's an assessment for PE and sports.
Yes.
This is 2009-10.
2009-10. Wow. So in fact, when I was reading the book, I saw all of those assessment charts and the detailed. I think there is the fittest girl and fittest boy in school, and those assessment charts and everything else. So now that you bring that up at Saumil, like Vijay, this question's to you because you're more on the academic side of things, and you're a researcher, you hold PhD, and you've been an athlete all of your life, right? So you aspire to be a professional athlete, and today in the business of sport in a totally different manner, contributing to academia and research, right? So one of the most focuses of the book has not been about creating world champions, but about intrinsically enjoying playing a sport, promoting intrinsically enjoying playing a sport, right? Being physically active, and the community's responsibility in creating responsible and holistically developed citizens who contribute for the welfare of the nation or in an ethical manner. And both you, Vijay and Saumil, you've elaborated this so beautifully in the book. Without saying it as is, but I've said, we're not here to create champions. This is not a toolkit to create world champions, but this is a toolkit to create responsible citizens. Would you like to elaborate more on this, and why do you think sport is a very important medium to create responsible citizens?
Saumil, you want to go first? Or?
Sure. I mean, our position has been, and I'll give you a context, but the name of a program, I do sports is part of education. And it flows from there. Why did we go through education? Because education is supposed to be the way in which you become responsible, hopefully productive, adults contributing to society. And as much as all three of us learn history and biology, but none of us are historians or biologists, there's some things you learn because that's part of education, right? You could have argued for each of the things we did. We could have dropped off 25 subjects in class 5, 6 itself. But society wants kids to have a broad exposure to subjects. Similarly, sport is a part of that broad exposure to multiple. To your point, I think, I don't want to talk too much because this is a sports business community. Everybody knows the value of sport, in terms of leadership, dealing with failure, physical fitness, social emotional learning, mental health, and so on. I think the real issue, Swati, we found was not that people need to be convinced about the power of sport.
Mm-hmm.
You will find people willing to give lectures on power of sport. The
Yeah.
problem was people did not know how to do it.
Okay. Interesting.
That yes, I believe the power of sport. Yes, I want my child to play, but hey, there's no place outside my house to play. But hey, my school doesn't promote sport. Or but hey, my school only focuses on school team. My child is not in school. So what do I do?
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Real
But
issue, that's where the book comes in. Real issue is how do you get kids to play?
Yeah.
That's why the book is called Get Kids to Play, not Let Kids Play. Let would mean that we are holding kids back, and if you let them free, they'll go and play. But the
yes,
context of modern society, which kids have not created, adults have created, is that we need to get them to play. Space, time, content, facilitator, other kids. Somebody has to stage manage this whole experience for that to even happen.
yes.
Because kids can't anymore just go down and look for 5 people to play.
Yes, so which is very true. I agree with that, Saumil and Vijay. And I was just about to get to the 5 components the book is captured right from, as you rightly pointed out, space, time, child, content, and facilitator. Before we go ahead with that, right, you say it was not really, people did not know the power of sports, but people already always knew the power of sport. It's just that it was difficult. They did not have a medium or a manner in which they could get children to play, right? You said, my personal experience is also something, again, going back to academics versus sports. Do not want to dwell a lot on that, but that argument has come out in the book. My personal experience was, I think for the first time when I was 13, I made it to the Karnataka State Sub-Junior team. And I was so excited. So I used to go training in the morning, evening. And I used to I used to go training in the morning, evening. And sometimes I was because of that, I became a part of the school's team. Till then, I was not a part of the school team. And then my PE teacher used to invite to go train with the team and everything else. So I had to miss a lot of classes. And there was some examination test, I think midterm or some test was there. Surprisingly, in one subject, I won't name which subject because it's easier to identify the person. But one subject I happened to top, and I had never topped in that subject ever, all through till 7th grade. And also, I started doing very well in all other subjects as well, right? And the teacher was surprised and she's like, "You're an athlete and you can study as well. You can, like, what is happening? I've never seen you attend classes." And this is a comment that I've heard multiple times. And also I've heard comments from the community as a woman, what is the need for you to play? Like, as a girl, what are you going to do? Why do you want to play? So many comments like this. And you also speak in your book about inclusivity, maybe in terms of gender or maybe in terms of access for, specially able children. All of these aspects come in, right? Even if we go in there, my question, the reason why I said this context is, do you think the mindset has changed? Let's say 20 years, like I started playing in 2011, if I'm not wrong. Not 2011, I'm sorry, 2003, 4, if I'm not wrong. From then to 2009, when you started, like, 7, 8 years, and today, like, almost 20 years later, has the mindset changed or what has happened? What do you both think? Because also, Vijay, you work very closely with parents and students and everyone else as well, right?
Vijay, you want to go?
Yeah, the short answer is it's definitely improving.
Mhm.
But the speed of improvement and the expectations that we have over that is a different. I mean, me as a parent, if I think about it, I had an elder sister, and that time when even today, my sister says that she has this complaint that I was sent to a sports camp, but she was not sent, right? And she keeps telling me this, and even when this book and thing were given to me, she says, yeah, this I expected from you and all that. But now when I'm a parent and I have 2 girls, and they have played all the sports that they possibly can,
Yes.
right? They've been exposed to all of them. So obviously the answer is yes. But then how deep is the connection? How deep is the engagement? Some of these things that you mentioned as a girl, and I think it is not just in the playing arena. When you look at this ecosystem, that's why, to your previous point, also it's a collective responsibility. I know of, including my younger daughter, used to play a lot of badminton. She would not play in competitions in certain places because even the restrooms and the washrooms were not well maintained for girls. There used to be this. So all things need to happen, right? There are not enough female coaches, for example. She used to always think that the male coaches are talking, he doesn't understand what I'm thinking about, right? So do we have, again, it's playing into the book, do we have gender balance not just in terms of participation? What about gender balance in terms of facilitator also? And in terms of the access and infra, which is the space which is equal? Because, as boys, when I play back, I'm just thinking, you just go out and play. There was nothing. I mean, nobody, even mom or dad doesn't say anything. But the moment if it's a girl, is this right? Is that right? Are you safe? All these building blocks happen, right? Have we made it super safe for them and at the same rate as for boys? That answer is, it's still improving. It probably is not there yet, right? But are the girls generally playing more? I'm sure they are.
Yes, interesting. Saumil, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, answer is yes. I think from our work in 2008-9 with schools at least, I had to do some hand waving to convince them why sport is part of education. Now, for the last 3-4 years, it's been not why, but how will you implement sports as part of education? So that shift of the question being asked as to why should I do it versus how do you do it? So the why is now accepted. I had to do it. Do I do it with you? Do I do it with myself? Do I do it with some other partner? In a structured, inclusive, age-appropriate, fun manner. That's one big shift. The other piece that you mentioned for your own, academic record along with sports and the surprise thereof, and that I think is an important point, Swati. I think we are celebrating the wrong role models.
Exactly.
Right? The role models should be people who have your kind of stories, right? Who have played and done well in academics. The board results are out, have come out last 1 week as we speak.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we are trying to do that study right now, saying, let's look at the toppers and let's look at what they played and say, maybe celebrate that. Or if not toppers, people who did well and played well. That is celebration.
Yes.
Right? And let me give a personal anecdote. I got selected for the team, Maharashtra badminton team, and then, I got to IIT Bombay, and I thought getting in, I was this cool dude who's cleared IIT JEE and plays at a decent level. I could not get into the IIT Bombay badminton team.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So that's telling you that it's possible to do
Both.
high level, if I may use that word, intense competitive sport and education. It is possible. We need to stop giving our students that cop out that, oh, you're a student, therefore you. No, let us hold our students to higher standards.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And teachers and parents should be saying, sure, you want to play, but at least this much marks. Then you watch how the athlete will perform. You know, as an athlete, that if you want to play, you will do this.
Exactly.
Right? You will say, tell me what it takes to get to play more.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
we're using the right incentive. We're using the other incentive saying, oh, if you play, you'll not get a job tomorrow. Instead, positive incentive saying, hey, you want to play. But X percentage and above. No negotiation.
Exactly.
Then you watch how the athlete himself or herself will sacrifice parties, sacrifice all other things, and just focus on academics and sports. It's possible. I think we are not celebrating the role models. Nobody talks about it. The only athletes we talk about are the athletes who are doing well and almost failing in school. No, let's celebrate those athletes who are doing well and academically and sports-wise.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Saumil. I think when you were speaking, I'm back in during my bachelor days. It was difficult to break into the table tennis team of Bangalore University because my classmate and 1 year senior, and then he was India's number one, Chetan Babur, who was actually playing in the European circuit at that time.
Yep.
And only if Chetan is not available, if he's on a circuit in Europe, I could get into the team even. And you look at in the department results and the university exams, again he was in the top 10. And our principal continued to say that there is no distinguishing, and we'll give leeway for both because he was the role model. So also, to your point, very correctly pointed out that what is the leadership there in the college? What did he point out? He was saying Anil Kumble is first class distinction. He was like smashing exams as well as being in the Indian cricket team. So it is not again to say you have to become a superhero in both, but it's possible. I mean, they just divided their time. And to add to this, Saumil, there used to be an old line which said that the guy who is, whatever that hobby was, whether it's sport, art, anything, and studies anyway is on. For an Indian kid, anyway, studies is on. It's said that anyway you're only doing two things, and just because the others are not doing it doesn't mean they have extra time and doing anything else, right? It's a
Yeah.
very as though if you're not playing sport, okay, you've got another 3 hours. It doesn't mean 3 hours you could be wasting your time also, right?
Yes, yes, that's true. That's true.
I think,
So
yeah.
go ahead, Vijay.
No,
Keep
I'm
saying.
saying, how are people? All those data points are there, but what are they actually, calling out is very, very important. And like Saumil pointed out, like in your case, I mean, it's sad that the teacher was surprised about it.
Because the message we are sending to athletes says it's okay to be bad academically. That's a wrong message.
Yes,
It's a
it's a
stupid
very
message
wrong message.
actually. It's actually
I think,
stupid on part of the parents and part of the school to even send that message. Why would you do it? Then the
yeah,
person feels, oh, if I go for inter-school, I can be bad in academics. Why would you say that? There's nobody winning in this process. The school is not winning, athlete is not winning, parent is not winning, child is not winning. Right?
exactly.
And
Say,
and
and
let me add another data point again from my experiences in my high school. I went to a school, I don't want to name it, it was like super academic. And you would get permission to go to math Olympiad and science Olympiad, but not that much for competitions, even if you're excelling in state level competitions. So one high school teacher, and luckily she came from a convent and she understood holistic education. She actually said if somebody had gone to a sports competition, also came in as quarterfinals, semifinalists, why are they not in the assembly along with the other kids who went to math and science Olympiad, right? So she tried to put them back on the podium.
Wow, that's amazing.
And as a kid, you can imagine, Swati, if I'm standing up there, and so what if somebody else has achieved it in some other subject? I'm also there, and you sort of feel there is a bit of equality here, right?
Yes, yes.
So I think all
sorry,
these, yeah. So there's
I
little
think
things, but what is the teacher? What is the leadership management? What are they calling out is critical.
I think you both brought out so many important points. Leadership is something that struck by me. That really strikes Vijay, which both of you addressed. For example, I think in 2010 there was Commonwealth Games. So in Delhi, and before that, 2008 was the Commonwealth Games in Australia because of certain delay for fencing specifically. Not 8, 2000, 2008, 10. It was all around this time, 10, 11. So I had qualified for the Commonwealth Games. Unfortunately, I was not able to participate because one, I was in Hyderabad, and two, I was like, I made it to law school. I was happy I made it to law school because, like, not many people get the opportunity. But also, I was very sad at the same time that my college was like 40 kilometers away from the city, so far away. I could not train regularly. And even if I have to go to train and play fencing, I had to go to Lal Bahadur Shastri Stadium, which is in the center of the city, which is like 2 hour drive. And I was new to the city, and the university had a curfew. By 7 p.m., we had to be inside campus. So classes start at 9 a.m. So I used to manage between morning, evening training and school, right? So now that's not possible. Weekends, pointless because the practice doesn't happen on weekends, especially Sundays. And it was so chaotic, and then for some reason I was not allowed to go train in the Indian camp even though I was called for. And also something changed in me. And I think if only the leadership at that point in time in the university was a different leadership, uh, probably I would have continued to play. Probably I would have, I would have continued to play. I mean, like, it's also probably, I should not say that. I should have fought it. I should have, like, for the ecosystem, gone ahead and trained and done whatever I wanted to do for my own, like, personal benefit or for my own, goal and everything else. I did not do it. That's one side of the argument. On the other side of the argument, suddenly I felt lack of support in the ecosystem. I mean, it's not just a story of me. It's a stories of hundreds of thousands of people across the country. It's not a one person story. This is something that I'm very consciously aware about, right? Uh, uh, Leadership is very important. I think that's something that both of you address very importantly in the book all through, right? In the book you speak about the first thing is space. Where do kids play? Then is time. When in this busy schedule that they have, where, when and how do they pull out time to play? And then you say the child is the most important aspect of play, not to create world champions, but just for them to be better human beings, to enjoy the childhood. And these are the aspects that you all address. And then you say content through the Edu Sports program and through several other similar programs and Antil creations. You give so many examples, and through those examples, you say how you need to curate the content per the needs of each student or each player or each child. That kind of comes out. And facilitator, being, it could be a child, it could be a parent, it could be another child who's playing, or it could be a school leader. So all these aspects, right? So at each level, I think for each of these five to happen, leaders are required at each aspects. So do you guys want to elaborate a little more on each of these five concepts and how leaders are required in each of these aspects that you've detailed in the book?
Maybe I'll take a quick shot. Yeah. Thanks for, first of all, going through the book and dissecting it and structuring it and making it easy for us. Yeah. So as here the leadership, if you want to define it, it's parents and school leaders, right? Because in the growing years, child is not at liberty to select and choose and do stuff, and they need a safe space. Their time needs to be organized. Now, the thing here I want to say is initially they do set the ball rolling, but the gist of the book truly is it should be sustainable and it should not be too hard for things to happen itself. So if you start to think at a community level and not at, like your point of driving to a stadium level, and it needs too many. So as it gets to that level, it needs even higher levels of leadership. So one of the reasons when we started with space, we actually dialed it through like an independent home, an apartment, resident welfare association. These are all actually easier, simpler ways to do it, because you actually have like someone actually manning that space. You can actually book that space to play and things like that. The time aspect of it is a lot more, both parent and the school holds it. For school, it is the PE periods and structuring of the curriculum. And for the parent, it is again the thing between, the pendulum swinging between acads and sport and play. So, I'll take a pause here, but I think the thing that I want to drive here is all of these things have to be done at the real grassroots level. And in one of them, we had actually said it should be at a walkable distance. It should be the closest park and things like that. That's when it actually happens. Because my childhood experience and all that says that I don't think my parents or other people came to tell us where to play and all that. After that, it was the nearby ground and the nearby space. So maybe it is just the leadership to kickstart the thing, but then after that, it happens by itself. Right?
Yes. Saumil, would you like to add something to this?
Yeah, so the leadership point is a great point, and I think the question we have to also ask ourselves is, why are leaders doing what they're doing? They're not dumb. They're very, very smart people, right?
Yes.
So if they're very smart people, but they're still doing what you think is quote unquote dumb, something is off, right? Either your proposition does not make sense, or you don't understand the context in which they are operating.
Yeah.
Their personal context, their business context, their organizational context, the stakeholders they work with, what are the pushes and pulls there. And if you don't understand that, you think the person is being dumb. But so one is that leadership context. Second, what are leadership goals? So if you don't align to the goals that they have, you can keep saying what you want. Like in my case, the first 5 years, I kept saying sports, thinking I am this cool dude trying to get sports for kids. And honestly thinking the rest of the world is dumb. They don't get it. And I think since you're part of the whole sports community, I think that's a mirror we need to show ourselves as community. Very often we come across to the world as we are these cool dudes and the rest of the world is dumb. They don't get it. The rest of the world is not dumb.
No.
By the way, it's their money we want.
Yeah.
So, right? So they're not dumb. Either your message is weak or you're not talking the language that they understand.
Yes.
Right? Or both. Right? So what are their goals? In my context, when I aligned to the education goal through sports, we found exponential growth in number of kids we could cover. I was the same, sports was the same, everything was the same. The parent was the same, school leader was the same, everybody was the same. But we aligned to the goals and made a program that mapped all stakeholder objectives. Parents had an objective, school teacher had an objective, school leader had an objective. They had a constraint. There's no space, limited time. They want a curriculum, they want assessment, they want compliance to CBSE board norms. When you fit into those goals, then you will achieve your goal.
Yes.
So otherwise, just pointing fingers at a leader without knowing the context of their goals, that I think is a very, very weak position, right? You're just saying
Exactly.
stuff, right? And lastly, in relevant to the book, the leadership is situational, right? You might be the right leader for a situation. Vijay might be the right leader for another situation. For the same three of us. The leader, as in a leader, in the situation, somebody has to lead. So if there are 5 kids playing and there's a problem, one of the kids can become the leader. There are 7 kids trying to play in an apartment and some uncle is giving them hard time for parking or whatever. You can be a leader as a parent or an adult around. A school leader can be a leader saying, if I don't have enough space, I'll partner with the BBMP park next door and take my kids every day. Leadership is situational. So there's a context of the leadership, there's a goal of leadership and situational leadership. When you marry these three with a toolkit, hopefully you have more. Because it's we have to be very careful. We run the risk of coming across as high and mighty. We know all about sports. The rest of the world is an idiot. All of you leaders don't know the value of sport. They're not idiots. They are very, very smart people.
Yeah.
We need to find a way to communicate. And the sports industry, I think, needs to come off its high horse and talk in a language that the people are willing to listen to. Because currently they're not listening.
Wow.
I completely agree. I think, which I've been thinking about from a long time, which Saumil again hit on to the last point. If a kid goes to play constantly, I remember those tennis classes those days, if a girl is trying to play and she's doing well, just reasonably well, the first thought is, oh, is she going to become the next Sania Mirza? I mean, that's not the... They killed the whole thing by saying that, according to me.
Exactly.
So I think that is years and years of... So you actually have to go down to actually when Sania Mirza was like 10 years old, what she was doing, not when she is now. So it's a wrong comparison. Unfortunately, sport has that trajectory of that kind where I think 0.0001%, I don't know how many even get there. And we're not talking about this mass participation thing itself. That's one other thing I want to add to what Saumil is saying is it's not that sport is suffering from time crunch and everything. And that's one of the reasons that we kept this third chapter, child development, and that thing as central actor play. Because if you see the competitiveness even in academics and the push today, even there are mental health issues because of stress of academics also.
Yes.
So what does it mean there? It's again like, you know what, get that top rank for me. We'll deal with this mental health thing later. It is not like part of it together. So I'm seeing it actually everyone tearing apart only their kind of thing and leaving the child at a very a difficult space to deal with. So the messaging, as you said, Saumil, even I was reading last week and I've been reading, and I always notice that, or I don't know if it's my bias that catches, and always I see these toppers, some of the good students say, what does your daily structure look like? And always they say they do X amount of studying and they go out, they play for an hour, or they're listening to music. They're always doing something else to defocus, re-energize, and come back.
Yes.
But I have noticed that when the results come, those things are like removed and they're just putting the rank and marks and numbers, right?
Yes.
So they miss this holistic message and making only the selective slice of only that performer mode, high performance mode kind of thing, which I think we all have to work towards, like, taking that off, right?
Wow. Oh, which is so true, Vijay. Like, as you said this, I got reminded that in college, like whether I played regularly, I used to play basketball for university also, and then run marathons and other things, right? So whether I played regularly or not, during that 1 week when we had the semester exams, I would definitely go for a run. Like 20-minute run on the treadmill, like maybe weekly 2-3 days I would play and other days nothing. But that semester examination week, people used to find me at least 20 minutes in the treadmill in the gym every day. And they're like, what is up with you? Tomorrow we have an examination. I'm like, I want to de-stress. I'm just going to go de-stress and then go write my examination. So I think there are so many habits that we pick up which create such like after that, even in my corporate life as a journey as a lawyer for about 8 years in-house in Infosys, one of the most important things, a lot of people during COVID actually left the organization. And a lot of people were like not legal, but non-legal departments. I had a lot of friends because I used to play football for Infosys and we used to play basketball and several other sports, right? So I spoke to a lot of my friends. They were like, oh my God, you've been in the organization for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. Why are you leaving the organization now? They're like, one of the major reasons Infosys was home because we could get to play in the morning or go to the gym in the morning and then work the whole day, finish and go in the evening before going home. We used to go play football, basketball, cricket, tennis, whatever you want, play, and then go back. Now during COVID, we're all locked in the house and we don't know when this is going to change. I mean, like, this was a very important, very interesting learning that I had, like just through interacting through peers and other departments and everyone else, right? Maybe many other organizations go through this as well, and I don't know if the Infosys leadership really knows about this, but I hope now they do, and they try to fix this in terms of getting
But
people back.
the last point that I hope now they do is an important point. See, we are all converted to religious or sport.
Yeah.
So we talking to each other, there's no new conversations happening. We are already converted. The question is, why are the other people not converted? Why are they not willing to listen to our beliefs? Unless you engage there, and the starting point has to be where they are today.
Yes. Yes.
I sometimes worry that our sports conversations are happening in an echo chamber.
Just
We're
within
all
the
we're all love sport. We're all talking about sport is fantastic, very good. But then if that's the case, then why aren't kids playing? If that's the case, then why is doping happening so seriously?
Yeah.
Sport was for the spirit of sport, then why do we have this kind of challenges? Something is broken.
Yes, something is broken. On that note, Saumil and Vijay, in the interest of time, I have last two questions for both of you. This is something that we ask everyone. So, what do you think is the future of the Indian sporting ecosystem? In so many, discussions that we have had with guests, both from India and outside of India, there've been sports education leaders, there've been sports business leaders, and in technology space and everything else, right? So this is a question that we ask. One is, there is a very huge sentiment in India that India is going to be the future sporting hub of the world, maybe in terms of viewership, or maybe in terms of the number of medals that we're going to win internationally, or maybe hopefully through the book, more people read the book and get children's really to play, right? Like many things, right? For many reasons. And also with the Olympics coming in and bidding of the 2036 Olympics for India, there's so much momentum. Is this just a sentiment, or is there really credibility to this sentiment? And is there a reason why people are feeling this? Because you both are on the ground researching and working so closely with people. And what's your advice for future aspirants who want to enter the sporting ecosystem? Or maybe we can avoid that and general advice for anyone and everyone who's interested in getting the kids to play. So what are your thoughts?
I'll take a quick shot. I'm going to filter this as again. My bulk of my research is in grassroots space, whether it's policy or implementation and all that. So I've tried to deliberately avoid the up the elite ladder. When you talk about things that are going to change in India, I am not sure just by hosting Olympics whether something will change in the grassroots. And again, research study is, there are papers. 2008 Beijing Olympics was hosted by China. Fitness levels of an average citizen on the street did not change at all. And so that perception right. So I think that spectator sport and participant sport, if you actually break it up, maybe a lot of people be watching sport, will be a lot of traction. There may be analytics, business, branding, marketing, a lot of other things happening up the chain. But my concern and my hope, actually, rather, is what are we going to do? Any good event can happen, but how can we create a trickle-down effect and eventually get younger people to actually participate more? So again, to the point of Saumil, all three of us here have played so much as a kid that I think that's the experience, whether we play enough hours today or not, but that's deeply rooted in us.
Yes.
But if my children imagine the same amount of hours is actually spent as watching sport, I am not sure whether it will stay long term, because it could get hijacked by a Netflix and Amazon Prime or something else also tomorrow, because it's now gone into entertainment space
Yes.
as opposed to participating. So, so the quick answer to you is more of a question mark in terms of all the bigger events happening, but what is the impact of it, a positive impact downstream?
So let me build on that. I think I remain very optimistic, but I also think that for success, and I think we should talk about what success means, right? A few things have to happen, otherwise we are also in danger. And I think let me build on what very nicely summarized spectator and participative sports, right? So people are watching sports, people are not playing sport as much. And moment you're watching entertainment, remember then there's one big elephant in the room called esports and gaming. Which is where kids are going. And kids are going there because the current, not only because, but also because the current level of engagement and fun of playing physical sports is just not able to match up the engagement of a digital gaming console.
That is
For a
true.
variety of reasons
Yeah.
that we mentioned in the book, space, time, content, facilitator, and fat rate. So if that experience is going to continue to be bad, you will have more and more kids coming towards gaming.
Mhm.
If this experience goes up, kids will find a balance between gaming and physical play.
Mhm.
So I think spectator sport works because all of us have played the sport, so you watch the sport because you enjoy the game. You appreciate the difficulty of doing that shot or that
Mhm.
pass or that, right? I mean, I don't know if any of us will enjoy baseball as much because we never played baseball. My American cousins don't enjoy cricket. They never played cricket. So now if your generation of kids have not played a sport or set of sports, do we really expect that they're going to watch that sport tomorrow? Are they going to buy the jersey? The economics of the professional sports is based on the fan. If your fans are not playing your sport, will your fans watch your sport?
Yes.
And if the proposition is entertainment and not that connect that we have visceral, then like Vijay said, Netflix has good shows, man.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And the value of sport is the unscripted nature of it. Netflix is scripted. The value of live sport is unscripted.
Exactly.
But then, gaming is also unscripted. I am playing.
Yes.
I am scripting it actually. Gaming, I am scripting it. Here at least. So the competition from gaming for physical play, and that can be an ally if you find a way to balance these two.
Mhm.
It's going to then kill the larger sports industry, in my view. Is I think kids playing sport is like the silicon of the IT industry. Don't have
Mhm.
silicon, you can't do anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
All our
I
mobile phones, all our laptops, all our computers are gone if you don't have silicon.
yes. Yeah.
Imagine you
So
run out of silicon tomorrow. And therefore, the point is, how do you define success?
mhm.
Is success winning medals? Is success people watching in billions of people watching IPL or NBA? Or is success billions of kids playing and staying healthy? Also, in the current social context, being able to resolve disputes, handle diversity, work with strangers. More and more, that is becoming an issue, not just in the country, but in the world. So I think success and the power of sport to drive that success hinges on some decisions that we will take now. And we hope that our toolkit helps those people who want to drive success in what hopefully is a more sensible way of all-round development and some people winning medals, not just some people winning medals and the rest of the country being obese.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
not,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just stupid. I mean, imagine 50, 100 years later, somebody is looking at all of us as adults, as supposedly responsible adults, saying, what were you guys thinking? What were these guys thinking? You allowed this to happen?
Exactly. Exactly.
I am not comfortable with that. So we do what we can, but we are finally, individual entrepreneurs trying to do what we can. So
Yeah.
I'd like to add
So
one quick point, Swati. I mean,
sure.
so you mentioned Olympics and all that. Even more, it becomes like almost once in a lifetime or once in a generation event, right? So,
Yes.
so I worry about it now. Like when someone is talking about IPL, I'm thinking now it's already how many seasons now? So from
Yeah.
2008 to now to 24, it's 15, 16 season, right? My
Exactly.
worry is in 16 years, if the tournament was held every summer, right?
Mhm.
Was there a grassroots outreach program? Did we come to like and involve some kids in the street and have a, I don't know, I'm thinking a local franchisees tennis ball cricket on the street. I have not heard any kid or anyone who's participated in that level of
Mhm.
thing. On the flip side, I've known and I've seen some city leagues like minor league and actually so you're using that bigger wheel because
Mhm.
it's getting so much attention. So it's always not about me buying a t-shirt and going sitting in high price ticket and watching only a game.
Yes.
So the success metric, like you were saying, should not be just TRP rating, but it also be, I don't know, some rating where participant rating kind of thing
Yes.
should be added on. Right?
I think both of you highlighted such interesting points, which are something that I'd really love to discuss in detail. But in the interest of time, we'll maybe cut it short. But one thing that I definitely want to like mention, right? As you said, Vijay, how medal tally and viewership is very different from participation at the grassroots level. And Saumil also added on to that and said how success is different for different aspects. Maybe for a sponsor, the success rate, the measurement of success metric is different, and for an athlete at grassroots level is different. For each parent is different. And also, I think when I was reading the book, maybe if I'm right, I could identify. I think it was you, Vijay, who wrote that part of the book when said when somebody comes to enroll a kid for the tennis academy, I ask, what is the purpose of enrolling the kid?
Yeah.
Losing weight and becoming a world champion. And some people actually write just getting the kids to play for the joy of playing. And every time you read that, that brings a smile. And also in the book, both of you go into details as to how there's so much pressure built on children, so much pressure built on children to perform very well. And that pressure is not just in academics, but also in sports today. You can see that in the eyes of like a 7, 8 year old. And eventually, as they start loving the sport, that stress releases. I think these are the few aspects that captured my mind a lot. Like, as I was reading, I was imagining that, right? And tying that to what both of you were saying, e-gaming in sports, Saumil. Just yesterday, we were having a recording with Mr. Dev Kumar Parmar, who is one of the leading sports lawyers in the world. He practices in English and Spanish in UK and Spain. That's where the offices are. And one of the aspects that he addressed also was this e-gaming and sporting, right? He said during COVID, it picked up so much. And eventually now, all there has just not been growth. So does that mean people are going back to play in real life? That's one of the aspects that he addressed in our podcast discussion yesterday. And the second thing he also said is how he connected that to women's sports. Suddenly today, so many people are watching football, like especially women's football. It went from 500, 600, 7 years, 8 years ago in the stadium in Barcelona to today 90,000, 80,000 viewers in the stadium, right? So it has changed so much, but are people prepared? Like, are these players mentally ready to play in front of viewers, so many viewers? That also becomes a dynamic. And one of the most important aspects that we're discussing was technology and social media, which we were also discussing earlier in our call, right? And how metaverse virtual reality can add on to getting children to move, right? So when I was working on a project for a metaverse project for the La Liga metaverse, it's called La Liga Land. During that time, I met so many people in the Web3 ecosystem, and whether sports or non-sports project, I think the mindset there, a lot of people that I met was this is the future, so we'll build something and we'll make money out of it, as opposed to what was the real value that we're creating, be it in sport or outside of sport. So there are so many things, all of these things I want your thoughts on. I hope we schedule another call to get your thoughts on all of these, but in the interest of time right now, I'd like to thank both of you. And if there's anything that you'd like to share before we end the call, please do. Thank you very, very much for taking out the time and doing this.
Thank you, Swati, and thanks for reading the book in detail. As in when you pull out things, I'm so happy to hear this. The stuff that you just mentioned before was the enrollment form we had for parents. And
Yeah.
they would only go to the extremes of either weight loss or champion, but like just playing tennis wasn't something that usually majority did not, and you highlighted that. So my final message is whoever is listening, whether it's athlete, coach, managing, sponsorship, partnerships, I mean, whoever it is, what is it that collectively, collective responsibility we can do to get children to participate more and experience play, and when you do that, I think it pays off long term.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Sudhi, first of all, thank you for the conversation. Enjoyed it. Great to know about your own sports and academic journey, and for the detail of the book. I think in terms of message towards the end, I think it's possible to get kids to play. Our toolkit is one such toolkit. There might be other toolkits, but it is possible and it's worth it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I also love how the book ended, thanking everybody for reading the book. I mean, I think that's the first time I've ever seen, the mere fact that you've reached the end of the book means that you're really interested. Come on, go spread the word. I think that was a great ending, by the way. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you. Thank you.